Hello there, digital world. Welcome back to Spliced In Later, your first episode of 2021. And as we expected, 2020 has finished and life is officially better. There's nothing wrong in the world. All pandemics are over. All political turmoil has been stopped. Life is just 100% perfect. Haha! Nah. But we just got to keep on keeping on. So thank you once again for tuning back into Spliced In Later to get your usual movie, TV, humdickery, dumb, whatever the hell that comes out of my mouth when I present these episodes to you. Thank you for coming back for another year. It's very exciting. I can't wait to get back into it, to be bringing you the usual content. We've got some good stuff planned for this year. As I said at the end of last year, I'll be diving into the history of Disney and looking at the ages. We've already done the Golden Age. I'll be doing some more countdowns. We've got a top 10 musicals coming up, which I'm very excited to be bringing to you soon. And also, if we're lucky, the highly anticipated movies of 2020 will be released in 2021 in some way or another, to a point where I can be bringing you reviews on a regular basis. But for our very first episode of 2021, it's one that I had not even planned. I originally was going to kick things off with our Disney look, but through a surprising turn of events, I suddenly found myself going to the movie theater last night with a bunch of friends to go see the movie Monster Hunter. Now, Monster Hunter, I was not interested in the slightest. I know there's a video game out about it, and I hear the video game is good. I have never played it. But I saw a trailer for Monster Hunter, and it did not interest me in the slightest. The semantics of what made Monster Hunter as well do not interest me. To unpack it for you, it is directed by Paul W.S. Anderson and stars his wife, Mila Jovovich. And if you are unfamiliar with that coupling, all you have to do is go and look at the many Resident Evil movies that have come out over the last 20 years. Basically, Paul W.S. Anderson has done all of them. Mila Jovovich has starred in them. I've not seen any of them, but I've seen scenes from them. I've seen excerpts. I've seen people talk about them. I've seen people analyze them. From what I can gather, the first movie was kind of good, and then from there it's just become a bit of a joke. And I'm not sure if Paul W.S. Anderson knows that it's become a joke and he's leaning into the ludicrous barminess of it. I cannot say. Maybe one day I'll watch the Resident Evil movies. Haha, and we'll see. But watching Monster Hunter, I can sort of see it. I can understand what people are talking about when they talk about the Resident Evil movies. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. The trailer did not interest me in the slightest. And then I heard terrible reviews coming out about it. It got like a 3 out of 10 on IGN. I'd heard that there was even a comment in the movie that was deemed to be racist in a way. At least the Chinese people that saw it did not like something that was said in the movie, to a point that when I saw it, that particular comment was removed from the movie. So much baggage beforehand, I was like, I'm giving that one a miss. But when I was asked to go see it, it occurred to me that I cannot just pick the movies that I want to go see for this podcast, knowing that I'm always going to give them positive reviews, unless I'm absolutely shocked or disappointed by what I see. Which means the content you are going to get is leaning towards one side of just objective positivity all the time. Every now and then, I do need to go and see a movie that I don't want to see, because you never know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe all the reviewers are wrong. Maybe I will have a good time. Maybe I will like it. I know there are movies out there that I love that I know reviewers are not too keen on. It's only just recently come to my attention that the Mighty Ducks trilogy from Disney, which I love absolutely and think are some of the greatest movies ever made, are not looked upon too fondly in critics' opinions. So when the opportunity presented itself, I went to see this movie. And now I can come to you now and give you a review. Probably not a very long review, because I'm not that invested in this movie, but a simple review to kick off 2021. Okay, Monster Hunter. I cannot approach this in a logical sense. I think I have to review this movie in 2 ways. The first of which is reviewing it in terms of a movie, in terms of it up against other movies, as a movie content, acting, storytelling, all of that stuff that makes a movie great. The second is just schlock, dirty guilty pleasure movie sort of stuff where you don't care about if a movie has good quality or is made well or has good characters or anything. You're just there for a specific thing, either over the top action, intense monster fights, or silliness. So looking at that, we'll have a look at both. If we start off with the usual movie review, this movie sucks. It's very rare for me to be doing this. It's a new unfamiliar territory for me to be going, this movie sucks, and not like, let's look at the positivity here. This movie is trash. It's the only way I can describe it, really. Now, that's reviewing it as a movie. In terms of a movie, it's not well done. It is not artistically clever. It has not put a lot of effort in terms of character development or anything like that. It's just there. We are first introduced to Milla Jovovich. She is the leader of a group of... I originally thought they were US soldiers, but I've been told later on that they're UN soldiers. And apparently they proved that by putting an Australian in her team. And I guess they put a Chinese person in their team, although I'm not 100% sure. They're off in the desert somewhere. It's not exactly explained where, because their fellow soldiers have disappeared. They get caught up in a lightning storm, and they end up in a whole other world. A world that's completely rampant with violent, gigantic killer monsters that do not stop attacking them from the moment they end up in this brand new world. Now, I cannot tell you anything about these characters except for Milla Jovovich, because this movie does not bother to give any of these characters some sort of backstory, some sort of personality. They are all generic characters. I can't even remember half of their names. There's a point where some of them, obviously in a movie like this, people will die. Some of them start dying, and they go, we just lost this person and this person. And I had to go, who are they? I don't recall, because they were not introduced to me. There's no drive. There's no motivation. The only character that's supposed to have drive and motivation is Milla Jovovich's character, Captain Artemis. And Captain Artemis does not have drive or personality. Her main character development you get is that she is carrying a box with a wedding ring in it. That's it. There's not explanation as to where it came from, why it's in a box. Does that mean that she lost her husband? Does that mean that her husband left her? Hard to say. She doesn't care about it, to be honest. She just suddenly notices it's on the ground one time and remembers to pocket it. Otherwise, she is generic army leader. There's a point at the start of the movie where she calls the rest of her team ladies in a demeaning way because, to be in the army, you've got to be a man. They almost lost me at the start there. And they even followed up by saying, wow, a lady calling us ladies? She's tougher than I thought. Not good start to this movie. Eventually, as we go on, Milla Jovovich meets a character who is just called the Hunter. Now, I looked into this for the video games, and the character that you play as in the video games is called the Monster Hunter. So, logically, this is our protagonist. This is the character that people who like the video games are going to see this movie for. But he's played by Tony Jaa, and he is, of course, second fiddle to Milla Jovovich. But he, immediately when you meet him, seems to have more personality in his middle finger, or pinky finger, than Milla Jovovich's character has in her whole body. We get this essence of people with a language barrier trying to understand each other, originally antagonistic, but eventually they have to team up because they've got to get to point B through all the monsters. So I guess Milla Jovovich can go home. It's not clear exactly what the motivation is. It seems to be, I want to go home, but his motivation seems to be, I also want to go to the Sparkly Tower, but I don't know why. And I've lived on this planet for years, and I've never needed to go there, but I'm going to go now. And they meet other characters that are living on this planet, and the same thing applies. They go, this thing's been there for ages, but now we're gonna go. Not because we want to help you, but just because we're going to, but then also I guess we're going to help you. It's a complete utter mess, really. And once you get, this movie stays in the same place for I think a good 50 minutes, focusing on the same two types of monsters. There's a big, gigantic sand monster called El Diablo, or Diablos, or whatever. And then in the dark are these spider scorpions, which lean heavily into the thing that I cannot stand in movies, which is jump scares. And it's not just the jump scares for the spider scorpions, it's jump scares every time. And the movie does not try to even surprise you with the jump scares. The music stops. There's always background music going on, and then all of a sudden it'll stop. And you go, okay, now I just have to wait for the thing to come out and go, bah! And it's not just monsters. It's people jumping out from round corners. It's people jumping through skylights. There's just constant blah, 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 blah. And it's, as I said, I hate jump scares in general, but this is just ridiculously so. So anyway, we stay in this point with these characters for so long and these two particular monsters. And then when it finally does move on, suddenly we race like it's the most important race of our lives, and if we don't get to the finish line before anybody else, we're going to die, because the movie just suddenly goes from here to here to here to here to here, finishes. We go in, we meet some other monsters very briefly, we meet a gigantic monster, we meet other people that live on the planet with the monster hunter, there's a big fight, the fight drifts over between realms, people are dying, there's explosions, things seem okay, and then all of a sudden, the movie is over. And the movie finishes in such a frustrating way. It's a way like, we believe we're going to get a sequel for this movie. So we're not even going to wrap up, not that we even have much of a story, to be honest. We're just going to wrap up what we got going right now and leave it all on this. And we're going on into the next movie. Whew. Okay, so that's the official review as per a standard movie. It sucks. Character development's crap. Our leader has no character development. The story is either progressively dull and slow in the same spot, or suddenly races to the finish in such a way that you cannot catch your breath. Nothing makes sense. There's no drive for any of our characters. The action itself is sometimes okay, but mainly just doesn't look good, because I don't know how much money was put into this movie. Probably a lot, to be honest, but it does not look okay. And then all of a sudden, the credits are rolling. Not a fan. However, in terms of schlockiness, so if I saw this movie by myself, if I decided to rent or buy this movie, or if I went to go see it by myself, I would be disgusted, I'd be annoyed, I'd be flabbergasted, I would be left a bad taste in my mouth. However, I saw this movie with 3 other people, and because we weren't expecting much from this movie going in, we expected it to be bad, and we were just hoping it might be so bad that it was good. It's not so bad that it's good, but it's so bad that it's funny. There are a lot of hilarious moments, and I know for a fact watching this movie, they're not supposed to be hilarious, but they're so bad and so stupid that I could not help but laugh. And because I was laughing, and because the people around me were laughing, and we were laughing at the ridiculousness about it. For example, Mila Jovovich gets into a fight with the monster hunter. She's thrown off cliffs, her head's smacked into rocks, she flips around and gets smacked in the face with a stick, and she just shakes it off. She just gets up. And the movie puts a lot of emphasis on these hits. They sound like genuine hits. This woman should be dead. And she just gets up and keeps moving on as if nothing happened to her. She doesn't even have much of a mark on her face. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Also, at a point where monsters are defeated and everybody celebrates and goes, we've defeated that particular monster, while all around them are dead bodies and things are on fire. It's essentially that scene from SpongeBob SquarePants where SpongeBob says to Patrick, we did it, Patrick. We saved the city, while Bikini Bottom itself is on fire and people are screaming in despair. Very stupid, to a point where you laugh out loud and you can't help yourself. The ending itself for me is so sudden and so silly that it might be one of the most entertaining things I've ever seen. So, I don't have much more to say about this movie, to be honest. All I will say is if you're looking for a good movie, this ain't it. If you're looking for a movie that's so trashy and so stupid that you'll laugh, this is the movie for you. I would recommend, if you're going to go see this movie, I would not recommend you see the movie, to be honest, but if you are going to go see it, get a bunch of friends, get a group of people, get them together. Do not go in going, all right, once the movie goes down, everybody has to be quiet and don't talk. Allow yourselves to laugh, allow yourselves to talk with each other. I guarantee you the movie theater you go to will allow you to do that, because I was in a movie theater with about 12 other people, and no matter what was going on, by the end of it, everybody just didn't care about being quiet or whatever, because what was in front of them was just so stupid. But everybody was kind of bonding by the ridiculousness of it. It was insane. This has certainly not convinced me to watch any Resident Evil movies, that's for sure. I don't think I would like the Resident Evil movies. I don't think, if this is Paul W.S. Anderson's style, I'm not a fan. I haven't seen Mila Jovovich in anything else, but I would like to see her in a movie someday where she portrays a character with some sort of emotion rather than just generic army person. It's bafflingly bad. But if that's the thing you're looking for that sort of entertainment, this might be for you. Just remember what I said. Take those things into account. Take some people. Don't take it too seriously. Whatever. However, as a rating, and because I look at movies as movies on this channel, this movie gets 2 out of 10, which is even being generous, to be honest. It should be lower than 2, but my grading system is a bit slanted. 2 out of 10 for Monster Hunter. I will absolutely never see it again. But it was an interesting way to kick off 2021. Hopefully I'll get to see another 10 more movies after this, so Monster Hunter does not make its way onto the top 10 movies of 2021. Well, that's that. Thank you all for listening to my very first episode of 2021. If you are a fan of Monster Hunter, if you have already seen it and you're annoyed by this review, I apologize. If you haven't seen it and you were thinking of seeing it, go for it, but just remember what I said in this review. Look at it in a certain way and you'll have a good time. Otherwise, no good. I will be back next week. We should be having our regular episodes as per normal. I know I took a bit of a break after New Year's just to have a bit of a rest and relaxation. But I will be back next week, and I will probably be launching into the next age of Disney, which is fondly known as the wartime age, looking at the classics that came out during World War II and how Disney approached making these classics and the different ways that it was done. The movies that came out are definitely not the movies that people remember as Disney classics, but they kept the lights on at Disney, so it will be interesting to look into that and have a chat. I have officially seen them all now, so I can talk about them too. Okay, awesome. Well, I love you and appreciate you all. Stay safe out there. Jump into 2021 with both eyes open, with positivity in hand, and hopefully we'll have a better year. But if we don't, oh well. It can't get much worse. Hopefully. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. I love and appreciate you as always. You've been spliced in later. Adios, muchachos. I'll catch you next time.